The pot roast was cold, but no one seemed to notice. My mother kept topping off wine glasses like it was her only job, ignoring the growing tension thickening the air around the table. My brother, Trent, was holding court as usual, gesturing wildly with his fork like he was auditioning for a one-man show. "I mean really," he said with a smirk, "who needs a smart collar that tells them if their dog is feeling sad? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." I'm Rachel Morgan, 31 years old, and earlier today, I sold my startup, Fetchwell, a pet tech company, to Google for $5.5 billion. But no one at this dinner table knew that yet. I nudged the peas around my plate, keeping my voice even. It's more than mood tracking. The AI helps detect health issues early, sometimes even before symptoms show. It's already helped thousands of pets. Trent let out a loud sigh and shook his head dramatically. Sure it has. What the world needs is more anxious dog moms obsessing over their labradoodle's emotions. How many of these miracle collars have you actually sold? I took a slow sip of water, reminding myself that I couldn't break the news yet. The acquisition wouldn't be public until the market opened tomorrow, and my NDA was airtight. But the truth? We'd sold over 15 million units just last year and had backorders for twice that. "They're selling," I said simply. Trent scoffed. "If they're selling so well, why are you still driving that rusty old Civic and living in that showbox apartment? You were valedictorian, Rachel. You could have been something like an investment banker. You were making 7 figures. And then you threw it away to play with wires in your garage." That garage was actually a fully equipped R/&D facility with a staff of 60 engineers developing proprietary diagnostic AI. But Trent had never set foot in it. As far as he was concerned, I was still fiddling with hobby kits and dog leashes. Our father cleared his throat uncomfortably. "Trent, maybe that's enough." "No, Dad," Trent cut in. "Someone needs to say it. She gave up a real career for a fantasy." I looked him dead in the eye, calm. "How's that merger going at your bank, Trent?" His jaw tensed. For months, he'd been bragging about a massive deal he was spearheading at his firm. What he didn't know was that during the acquisition due diligence for Fetchwell, I'd reviewed multiple banks' data, including his. The firm he was trying to merge with was on the brink of collapse, buried in toxic assets, playing accounting tricks just to stay afloat. "It's progressing," he said stiffly. "A few snags, but we'll work through them." I smiled gently and finally took a bite of my cold pot roast. 4 years ago, I was soldering circuits by hand and maxing out credit cards just to make payroll. Tonight, I was sitting on a life-changing deal. And yet, to my family, I was still the weird kid who threw away a promising Wall Street job to chase some whimsical idea. When I first quit my role at Lancaster Capital to start Fetchwell, nobody disapproved more loudly than Trent. "You're wasting your degree," he told me. "Tech startups crash and burn. Pet gadgets. That's a niche inside a niche." But Trent never understood everything I learned in banking helped me build Fetchwell. While he clung to outdated models, I saw cracks in the system. I didn't want to manage someone else's wealth. I wanted to create something that saved lives. The idea didn't come from a whiteboard session or a TED talk. It came from heartbreak. My cat, Molly, started acting differently. She wasn't eating much, hid under furniture, seemed off. I thought she was just moody. By the time I took her to the vet, the cancer had spread. It was too late. For weeks, I couldn't stop asking, what if I'd noticed sooner? What if there had been a way to catch those subtle changes in behavior before they turned deadly? That's when the idea hit me. Pets do communicate, but not with words. Through movement, routines, even slight temperature shifts. If we could use machine learning to detect those patterns, we could catch illnesses early. Fetchwell was born out of grief, but built from vision. "Rachel, honey," my mom said gently, breaking my thoughts. "Maybe Trent has a point. You're not getting any younger, and that apartment of yours." I smiled, thinking about the oceanfront home in Santa Monica I had just closed on. Paid in full. In cash. The realtor nearly fainted. "I like my apartment," I said lightly. "It's close to the lab." Trent snorted. "Your lab, come on, Rachel. It's time to grow up. Even our junior analysts are making more than you." If only he knew. Google had paid more for Fetchwell than Trent's entire bank was worth. After dinner, as everyone migrated to the living room, I helped Mom in the kitchen. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Ethan, my head of engineering. Press release is queued. 8 a.m. sharp. You sure you don't want to tell them tonight? I glanced at Trent, now boasting about his Porsche. Some surprises are worth the wait. My dad came up beside me, drying a plate. You okay, sweetheart? Trent was a little rough tonight. I'm good, Dad, I smiled. Tomorrow's a big day. Dad nodded, sensing more than he let on. He was the one who brought home my first circuit kit, who encouraged my dual major in finance and computer science. He never called my interests strange, just mine. That night, I drove back to my Showbarks apartment. The Civic creaked into the lot, the same one Molly last rode in. I never replaced it. Not yet. By the time I curled into bed, my phone was buzzing non-stop. At 7:10 a.m., it lit up like fireworks. Google acquires Fetchwell in $5.5 billion deal, largest in pet tech history. CNBC, Bloomberg, Forbes, TechCrunch. All of them. I turned on the TV and there it was, my face, my name, my company. The first text was from Mom. Rachel, is this real? Call me. The second from Dad. I knew it. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Trent didn't text. Not that I expected him to. Silence has its own volume. At the office, the energy was electric. Our teamed developers, engineers, marketers hugged, cried, celebrated. Many of them had taken equity over salary. Today, they were all millionaires. My assistant ran over. Rachel, Trent's bank is on the line. They're asking about investment opportunities. I smiled. Tell them to contact Google's Corp Dev team. We're part of Google now. The irony wasn't lost on me. 4 years ago, that same bank, Trent's bank, laughed me out of the room when I pitched Fetchwell. Now they wanted in. But it was too late. That same morning, headlines broke that the merger Trent had been working on had collapsed. The firm was worse off than even I suspected. By noon, his bank's stock was in free fall. Around lunchtime, my mom showed up at the office. She hugged me, tears in her eyes. Why didn't you tell us? I showed her the lab. The handwritten letters from grateful pet owners. The AI dashboards tracking health across millions of households. I wasn't struggling, Mom, I said. I was building something that mattered. My phone buzzed again. Trent. I let it go to voicemail. That evening, as I arrived home, there he was. Sitting in my lobby. Linda, please, he stood. My career's in freefall. The merger's done. Investors are panicking. Everyone wants to talk to you. Can you help me? I stepped into the elevator. He followed. Desperate. Come on, he said. Say it. You were right. You made it. You're the brilliant one. I looked him in the eye. This was never about being right, Trent. It was about respect. You never respected me or my work. And now you want my help. He looked stunned. I hear Google's Corp Dev team is very thorough, I said. Maybe they'll take your call. I closed the elevator door behind me. The next day, I led the Google acquisition review of his bank's failing AI platform. Strictly business. Their tech. Flashy. Shallow. Too many shortcuts. Just like Trent's definition of success. After the meeting, Dad found me in the parking lot. You were hard on him. I was honest, I replied. No more, no less. You're like your grandmother, he said softly. She built something real too. Against all odds. That night, I sat in my Santa Monica home. On my desk, Molly's old collar, now upgraded with Fetchwell's latest tech. One text stood out. You saved my dog's life. Your product caught his heart condition 5 months before we noticed a thing. Thank you, Rachel. Another message came in. Trent. I get it now. Not just the money. The why. I'm sorry for everything. Can we talk? I stared at it. Family's complicated. Forgiveness, even more so. I typed back, coffee tomorrow. My office. Let's start over. Because sometimes real success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about being the kind of person who shows others there's another way forward even when they laughed at you first. And even when they're your brother. The Google acquisition was barely a week old when Trent showed up again, this time in a tailored suit, crisp haircut, and eyes desperate behind a forced smile. He walked into Fetchwell's new Google campus uninvited, escorted by front desk security. Her brother, my assistant, Julia, said with hesitation, buzzed in through my glass office door. Trent stepped in like he still owned the world. Nice place, he said, glancing at the glass-walled conference rooms and soft-lit innovation labs. So, this is where all the tinkering happens. I didn't get up. Is there a reason you're here? He smiled thinly and pulled out a folder. Look, I know we didn't part on the best terms. But I've been thinking. There's a real opportunity here. My contacts, your platform, we could take Fetchwell global faster. China. Europe. We've got the distribution channels. You'd be the face, I'd handle the strategy. I stared at him. You came to pitch me a job at the company you said would fail? No, he said quickly, not a job. A partnership. I mean, come on, Ratch. We're family. And truthfully, he leaned forward, lowering his voice, I need something right now. The board wants someone to take the fall for the failed merger. They're circling me. You didn't tell them about the bad debt. Trent's jaw tensed. I thought it would be cleaned up. You know how it works, shell companies, off-books investments, the usual. I used to know how it worked, I replied. Before I stopped helping institutions like yours bury risk under gloss and jargon. He straightened. So that's it. You're just going to let me drown? I stood now, slowly, crossing to the massive glass window behind my desk. From up here, Silicon Alley shimmered in the sun, dozens of companies trying to change the world. I remembered being one of them. Trent, when you laughed me out of your boardroom 4 years ago, I didn't ask for help. I asked for belief. I needed someone to see the vision. Instead, you mocked it. He sighed. I said I was sorry. You said you were wrong, I corrected. That's not the same. He walked toward my desk, raising his voice. This industry loves a redemption arc, Rachel. The media. The investors. They eat it up. Brother and sister reunite after $1 billion win. We could. I'm not interested in playing optics with the man who made me feel like a disappointment at every family dinner for the last decade. He flushed. You think this is easy for me? Walking in here, Anne? No, I said sharply. I don't think it's easy for you. But do you want to know what wasn't easy for me? I stepped toward him now. Pitching Fetchwell to 27 VC firms and getting turned down cold. Watching my cat die when I knew the tech could have saved her if I'd built it sooner. Getting called cute by investors who asked if my boyfriend helped design the algorithm. And sitting at dinner with you every year while you talked down to me in front of our parents like I was a kid playing scientist. Trent looked stunned. I was building something real while you were shifting numbers on spreadsheets, I said. And now? Now you want a lifeline. You don't care about Fetchwell. You care about your job. Silence stretched between us. Finally, he spoke, voice hoarse. You're right. I blinked. You're right, he repeated. I didn't believe in you. I saw you leaving that cushy banking job and thought you were throwing away your life. I thought I was smarter. I thought I'd always be ahead. He stepped closer, placing the folder on my desk. But you made something that matters. You built it, and I tore it down every chance I got. He paused, swallowing hard. Can you forgive me? I looked down at the folder. Inside, a breakdown of his new proposal, a non-profit arm of Fetchwell to bring free smart collars to low-income pet owners, particularly in areas without access to veterinary care. My heart caught slightly. It was a good idea. A really good idea. I had some of your data science leads help sketch the feasibility, he added quickly. They think it's viable. I glanced out the window, emotions warring inside me. Trust was fragile. Forgiveness even more so. And yet, maybe this time, he wasn't just trying to save himself. Maybe, just maybe he wanted to build something, too. I turned back to him. You're going to write a public letter, I said. Full transparency. You admit your part in the merger collapse. No finger pointing. No spin. He nodded. And the non-profit, we do it my way. You're a junior advisor. No press. No titles. You answer to the Fetchwell board. His eyes flickered with surprise, but then he nodded again. Done. And Trent? Yeah. I stared him down. If I find out you're using this to angle for redemption in the media, I'll bury you. He gave a tired smile. Wouldn't expect anything less. As he turned to leave, I stopped him. Trent. He looked back. Why now? He hesitated, then said quietly, because for the first time, I see you. And I don't want to be the kind of man who only reaches out to his sister when he's sinking. I nodded once. That afternoon, I sat in the glass boardroom of Fetchwell HQ with Google XX, pitching the non-profit division, Fetchwell Hope, with a business model stronger than anything Trent ever built at his bank. And this time, he didn't interrupt me. The night of the charity gala for Fetchwell Hope, I finally saw them again. My parents. Aunt Elise. Cousin Jordan. All at a table marked family, a word that felt more ironic than real now. It was the first time we'd all been in the same room since Fetchwell's acquisition went viral. Since Forbes listed me as the self-made biotech founder who rewrote the rules of preventative pet care. And more importantly, since Trent's scandal-laced bank merger tanked in the news. And yet, he was still their golden boy. I could feel their eyes on me as I finished my opening speech and walked off stage. My mother stood up to greet me, wine glass in hand. You were polished, she said. Almost like a real CEO. Almost. Thanks, Mom, I replied, tight smile in place. My father cleared his throat. Trent said you're letting him help with the charity wing. That's generous. Very mature of you. Oh, yes, Aunt Elise chimed in. You always were the emotional one. So glad you're learning to think with your head now. I blinked. That was their version of a compliment. I didn't do it for him, I said, keeping my voice even. I did it because the work matters. Of course, my mother said. Still, good that you're finally making something tangible. You know, for years we worried you'd throw your life away on machines and cat collars. Cat collars. That was what they reduced it to. Not the predictive health diagnostics. Not the AI-driven vital system that caught early-stage cancers in thousands of pets. Not the platform Google now used as the base for their upcoming wearable healthcare line. Just cat collars. I looked at Trent. He sat silently, sipping his drink, face pale. And I realized he hadn't told them. About what happened. About the bankruptcy filings. The class action lawsuit. About how his former partners named him in depositions. They didn't know. So I said it. Loud enough for everyone at the family table to hear. Trent's firm nearly collapsed the retirement funds for 3 counties before the merger died. You do know that, right? Silence. My mother looked at Trent sharply. What is she talking about? He shifted uncomfortably. Rachel, this isn't the place. No, I said. This is exactly the place. I looked each of them in the eye. You all treated me like a cautionary tale. The artsy little sister. The one who wasted her Wharton degree on sensors and startups. But Trent was the future, wasn't he? Trent knew how to play the game. Rachel, stop, my father warned. No, I said, louder now. You all thought I was embarrassing. Until the check cleared. My voice shook, but I didn't care. You didn't show up when I got seed funding. You didn't call when I launched. You didn't say a word when I mortgaged my apartment to build our first batch of prototypes. But now you want credit for raising me ? Aunt Elise gasped. That's not fair. Isn't it? You called me reckless for quitting the bank. You told me I'd be back in 6 months, begging for a job. I turned to my father. You once told me I should find a man who could afford my hobbies because no one marries ambition. He looked away. And you, I said to my mother, you kept sending me articles about people who failed in tech. You clipped one about a woman who lost everything and wrote "Just think about your future" in red pen. The table was silent. A slow, thick silence. Trent stood. I told you not to underestimate her, he muttered. But no one listened to me either. I turned to him. Don't try to rewrite this. You were the first person to laugh. He met my eyes. And I was the first to apologize. A beat passed. Then my cousin Jordan chuckled. Well, this is fun. Thanksgiving's going to be great. I ignored him. I looked at my parents. You didn't raise me to succeed. You raised me to obey. And when I didn't, you punished me with silence. My mother's eyes welled up, but she didn't say anything. I took a breath. And yet everything I became, I owe to the fact that you never helped. Because I had to learn how to back myself. I stepped away from the table. Before I walked off, I turned one last time. You always said Trent was the one to make the family proud, I said quietly. But I'm the one who made history. And then I walked back into the gala where engineers, journalists, and founders waited to shake my hand. Where I was the name on the banner. Where I wasn't just the little sister anymore. I was the storm they didn't see coming. 3 weeks after the gala, I received an email with no subject line. Just a sender, mom.daniels@me.com, mail to mom.daniels@me.com. It read, "Can we talk? Please. Just dinner. No drama. Mom." I didn't answer right away. I stared at it for an hour. Maybe longer. And then, out of morbid curiosity or closure, I agreed. One dinner. Public place. No chance to flip the narrative or corner me emotionally. We met at the Ivy House Bistro downtown. My parents arrived first, already seated, the wine already ordered. Predictable. "Rachel," my mom said, standing, arms half lifted like she wanted to hug me, but knew better. "Hi," I said, sitting without offering one back. My father got straight to it. "We talked. About the gala. About what you said." I sipped my water. My mom nodded. "We realized we may have been unfair. Too harsh." That was the understatement of the year. "You didn't believe in me," I said calmly. "You were embarrassed by me." My father winced. "We were worried. You were taking huge risks. Alone. And Trent wasn't." Silence. "Trent always seemed like he had a plan," my mother said. "You always seemed like you were chasing something." "I was chasing something," I said. "Chasing impact. Purpose. Innovation. But none of that mattered to you. You wanted me safe. Small. Married. We wanted you happy," my father said. "No, you wanted me obedient." They sat back. Like they hadn't expected that level of honesty outside a gala microphone. I leaned forward. "I never needed you to believe in Fetchwell. I needed you to believe in me. To say, we don't get it, but we support you anyway. And you didn't." My mom's voice cracked. "We didn't know how." "That's not good enough anymore," I said, gently but firmly. My father sighed. "What do you want from us, Rachel? An apology? A check? What would make this right?" I looked at both of them. Really looked. And then I said the truth. "Nothing." Their faces fell. "I don't want anything from you," I said. "I built my life without your support. I'm not here for revenge or validation. I just want you to stop pretending we're fine. You're our daughter," my mother started. "Yes. And I'll always be. But I don't have to pretend anymore. I'm not interested in fixing something you only noticed was broken once I got famous." Tears welled up in her eyes. "That's not fair." "It is," I said, soft but clear. "And if you ever want a real relationship with me, it starts with honesty. Not dinner. Not wine. Not we just wanted the best for you." I stood up. "I'm not angry anymore," I added. "But I'm done making myself small just to be tolerated. I'll always love you. But I don't need you." I left them at that table. Just like I left the old version of me that used to shrink for their approval. Back home, I fed Luna, my rescue Labrador, the first dog to ever wear a Fetchwell collar prototype. She nuzzled my hand and wagged her tail like I was her whole universe. And maybe, for the first time, that was enough. If this story hit home or gave you chills, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter. Drop a comment if you've ever had to stand up to family or walk away to protect your peace. Your story matters too. Subscribe for more bold stories of resilience, revenge, and rising above. You deserve to be heard.